good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, whatever it is, where you are right now, in this crazy thing that we call time. It's a very weird way to start, wasn't it? It's been a long day already, can you tell? So we are continuing tonight's Me Yoga Club to work on the fundamentals that we started last week in looking at a bit of balancing work. So you may remember last week I was talking about how doing a class like this was prompted for me because I'd been what I considered to be a bit of a failure in a couple of ways. And in organising something that didn't take off, and then forgetting my microphone, which I still haven't sorted out this week, so I'm microphone-less again. So it came from a place of talking about failure and how when we start to work on yoga poses that are a bit more challenging, it's really easy for our patterns around failure and everything that goes along with it to come and meet us on the mat. Because when you're balancing, even if it's not a particularly complicated pose, you know, there's something that we kind of feel like we should all be able to do with balancing, because it doesn't rely on you being strong or flexible really, or any of that kind of stuff. So, you know, when you're like, oh my God, why can I not just do this on one leg? It can bring up a lot of stuff about failure. But there's also value in the practical side of learning how to do balancing poses. Well, actually, in learning how to do any pose, that's a real generalization. But what I'm getting at is whenever we are learning towards a pose, it relies on us learning the ingredients to get there. And with balance poses in particular, you can't muscle in and force a balance pose. You know, you can't force flexibility, and you can't force balance. So when you are coming up against these poses in your practice, you can't kind of cheat them, if you know what I mean. You can't some yoga poses you could totally force your body into. I mean, you'd have to be a bit of a masochist, but there are ways that you could force your body into some of these Instagram worthy poses. But I think there's something about balance, because you can't force it, you either get it or you don't, that requires even more awareness of learning the steps that get us there. You've really got to put the groundwork in to get the ingredients to get to the pose you want to get to. And of course, all of this, I realise, contradicts the talk we had last week about being attached to outcomes. Let's put that aside for a moment. If you are wanting to learn to do a hand balance, an arm balance, which we're working towards tonight, hopefully within this practice and last week's practice, you're going to see how I've kind of broken the practices down a little bit to learn the ingredients to get us there. So in your own practices at the moment, and remembering that, of course, this yoga club is all about you, in your practices at the moment, or if you ever start to want to learn how to do things like handstands, things like arm balances, break it down, you know, look to the poses that you need to be able to do consistently before you can get there. And one of the caveats that I would say, you know, you see quite often on social media, learn to handstand in one lesson, etc., etc., which is all well and good, but that assumes you have already got all of the ingredients kind of nailed down in your own system. You know, it assumes that you've already got the strength to stand on two hands. It assumes you've got the core strength to be able to limit how much bend you've got. It assumes you've got the confidence to happily be upside down in these poses, you know. So remember, all of these poses that we're working towards, they all need the ingredients to get there. And that's the best way to manage the emotions that come up, to manage the sense of failure, to know that every little ingredient is just a stepping stone towards getting there. I'm gonna stop with the chat now. Different chat. We're going to sit down, we're going to arrive, then we're going to breathe and move. So of course, remember that all of these poses have modifications. If anything doesn't feel good in your body, if at any time any of this is too much, there will be a previous version that you can go back to. So be kind to yourself, work with compassion for your own body. Find yourself your comfortable seated position. If you've got blocks, as always, have them handy. They're always useful to have. If you're ever gonna, treat yourself to a bit of yoga shopping, I highly recommend that you get a couple of these bad boys, because they can make life so much not easier. I go on about this a lot. They don't make poses easier. They make it easier to access certain bits of poses, which accelerates your learning in some of the poses. So get yourself sitting comfortably. I'm not going to lie, my body feels a little bit broken tonight. So I will be very much doing the how not to do a pose demonstrations, whilst you, of course, will all be rocking the how to do it demonstrations. I will be very much the, if your body is a little bit broken, this is probably how it looks for you tonight. Don't join gyms, people. They're evil, evil places. So get yourself sitting comfortably, however that may be for your body this evening. Remember, you can sit cross-legged. You can have your legs out in front of you. You can have your back up against edge of the sofa, a chair. However you can sit so that your spine is nice and long and upright. So you want to feel like you are sitting with a sense of dignity and poise within your system. Let the hands rest where they want to rest. Palms can turn up or they can turn down, or hands can just rest in your lap. Once you feel like you are settled, let your eyes gently fall closed. And take a couple of nice, big, deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth, just sighing it out. Do as many of those as feels good. So at least 3, I would say. Big breaths in through the nose, big sighs out through the mouth. And with each sigh, imagine that you are letting go of something. You don't have to need to know what it is you are letting go of. Just imagine that something is being put down, something heavy that you've been carrying around. Finally, you're just putting it down for a moment or two. Once you've done your settling breaths, let the breath do whatever it wants to do, and just begin to find that feeling of arriving into this space and into this time. So here we press the pause button. We begin to tune in. We recognize that a whole load of stuff has already happened in our day. Some of it may have gone well. Some of it may not have gone well. We also recognize that there is plenty of time for more stuff to come, some of which will go well, some of which may not go as well. But all that matters now is that you are here in this moment, and for the next hour or so, your priority is you. And should that feel a little self-indulgent, remember the well-used phrase that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you do not take time to top up your own battery, to work on yourself, then you can't be the best version of yourself for anyone else that needs you. So should you need any justification in being here and now, consider the positive impact you're going to have on all the people around you. But for now, begin to tune in. Tune in to how you feel as a whole. Tune in to what kind of mood you're in. Tune in to what your energy levels are like. And remember, there's no right or wrong. Just be honest with yourself and notice what is real for you. Can you just accept it? That doesn't mean you have to like it. Oh, excuse me. Doesn't mean you have to like it or dislike it. So as you've noticed yourself as a whole, let us tune in a little more and take your awareness to the space between your ears and just start noticing those pesky thoughts. And let's face it, you know, if we're talking about failure, failure is totally really a mental construct, isn't it? Failure is purely as a result of having an expectation in our own heads. But for now, just notice whatever thoughts are in your head. Notice them come, notice them go, notice how transient and changeable and possibly even silly they are. Position yourself as the interested observer of your thoughts rather than the active participant. And see how that change in perspective perhaps feels in your body. Does it feel a different way to know that you can just notice your thoughts, that you don't actually have to interact with them? But for now, we're just tuning in, we're just beginning to notice. So as you've noticed mind, now begin to notice your body. Take a body scan from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes, taking 40 seconds or so to get down there. And again, just tuning in as your awareness rolls over the different bits of you. If some bits feel tired or tight or sore, that's totally fine. They are allowed to be. But again, can you just notice that and accept that perhaps they are less than perfect in inverted commas, but accept them anyway? And then as you've noticed mind, as you've noticed body, let's begin to notice breath. So take your awareness to wherever you can most easily feel the rise of your inhale and the fall of your exhale. That could be somewhere around the belly button, a little bit above or a little bit below. Just begin to build that connection to your breath. Remembering that the breath is there to help you negotiate with your body. It's there to help you know if you are pushing too hard or trying too much. But perhaps most importantly, it's there as the anchor for your mind to come back to whenever it does its wandering thing. And remember, it will wander, but that's good. You want it to wander because part of the practice is bringing it back. Every time the mind wanders, every time you bring it back, it's another little mindfulness push-up, if you like. It's building that muscle, it's building that pattern. So think of it as an opportunity rather than a failure. So keeping that connection with your breath, either let the hands stay resting where they are or bring them into a prayer shape in front of your breastbone. If that feels good, you can let the head bow and take a moment to set your intention for your practice. So know how you want to feel as you move through the poses. Know how you want to feel when you step off the mat and go back into your day. Know what you need the practice to do for you this evening. Set your intention, but remain open-minded to the other good, positive stuff that may well come along. And then you can lift the chin, you can let your hands come down, you can blink your eyes open. Good, so we're going to start on our backs. Because as we know from last week, the arm balance that there's no spoilers this week, so I can tell you what we're working towards. So we're going to continue working to our crow pose. And so that you know why we're doing what we're doing, we need good hip mobility in our crow pose. And we need some strength in our upper body and our back body. And we need to find the feeling of going forward in the pose rather than a kind of upness. So we're going to be working on hip mobility. We're going to be working on some strengthening. And we're going to find where else we can find the feeling of going forwards rather than the feeling of kind of jumping into an arm balance. All of that said, lie down. And let's get on with it. So lie down, bring your knees up into your chest, hug them in, take a little roll from side to side, take the knees around in some circles and just use this as an opportunity to give your back a little massage. And then bring both feet to the floor, knees bent, soles of the feet together, let the knees fall apart. So you're doing reclined Baddha Konasana, reclined cobbler's pose, or just kind of making a diamond shape with your legs. Pause here for a moment, take your arms up over your head and have a nice stretch. Feel wide and long in the ribs. Feel that space from your bottom rib and the top of your pelvis get really long and expansive. And see if you can find a feeling of the knees just being heavy. So we're just going to knock a bit of rust off the hips. Leave the left leg where it is and bring your left hand down on your left thigh just to give the leg a bit of weight. You are not pushing down or forcing the leg towards the floor. You're just kind of letting it get an idea of where you want it to go. Then bring the right knee up into your chest and hold around the front of the right knee with the right hand. Now take the right thigh out to the side a little, as if you were trying to get your right thigh to lie down the side of your chest, as if you're trying to get your right knee to nestle into your right armpit. Spoiler alert, probably won't go. But think of that direction rather than squeezing the right knee into the rib cage. And as I say, the left hand is heavy. You can also use the left hand to just kind of smooth the flesh along the direction of your, probably the seam of your leggings or trousers. You're just beginning to kind of stretch the flesh of the two inner thighs in different directions. So stay here or take that right leg into half a happy baby. So you're holding up around the inside of the foot and just letting the weight of your right arm draw that right thigh down. If in trying to get your half happy baby, you've kind of come up and you're desperately trying to hang on to the foot and the back's off the floor and you're like, oh my God, I don't know why I'm doing a silly voice with it. It kind of comes naturally. Don't worry about it. Go back to holding the knee. You will gain nothing more from doing a half happy baby when your body is not ready for a half happy baby.
Good. Release that. Left foot on the floor, knee still bent. Right ankle over to your left knee. Roll the right knee away from you and stay here. If this is enough for your right hip, then stay. This is enough for your hip opener to begin with. Keep the right foot flexed. If you think you've got a little more openness in that right hip, lift the left foot off the floor, hold around the back of the left thigh with both hands, and keep that right knee rolling away from you. So you're beginning to work into the right hip, which you can probably feel already. You can use your right elbow to keep the right knee rolling away from you. And as I say, keep that right foot flexed. You can even play with pushing your right ankle into the left knee a little bit, not so that you are fighting with yourself, just that you are activating the stuff that you are stretching. At the same time of all of that, if you've got enough headspace, and I mean that with love, just notice if you've lost the natural curve of your lower back and try and reinstate it. So you might need to let the pelvis roll away from you a little. If that's too much, don't worry about it. Just focus on what's going on in the hip. Of course, you are breathing consistently here. Keep the legs in that shape. Let the left foot come down to the floor. Now roll to your left hand side so that the right foot comes down to stand on the floor. Then begin to turn the chest up to the ceiling. Maybe reach the right arm out away from you. If you have enough room, you can bend the elbow. Now, in allowing that right foot to make a strong connection with the floor, see if you can imagine your right bum cheek is heavy and it's trying to sort of twist back down or land back down on the floor. And we're kind of after a slightly elusive bit of the outer hip to stretch here. So if you don't get it, don't worry about it. If you do get it, enjoy it or not, however it feels. Bring everything back up to center. Left foot stays on the floor. Take the right leg up in the air. Point and flex the foot. Take it around in some circles here and there. We're going to be standing on one leg at some point in the future, so just wake the ankle and the foot up because we need those bad boys. Good. And then very gently begin to draw that straight leg down towards you, holding somewhere around the back of the thigh or the calf or the ankle, just to give the hamstring a little wake-up call. You can leave the left leg bent, or you can straighten the left leg out as well. If that's too much, then of course just keep the left leg straight. So we're just working on the back of the hip now. We've done front, we've done outside. We haven't done front yet. We're going to do front when we stand up. We've done inside, outside. Now we're just going to do the back of the hip for a moment. Good. Bend the knee. Both knees up into the chest. Feet down, soles of the feet together, knees out apart again. A moment in your reclined cobbler's pose. And then we just simply repeat on the other side. Right hand on the inside of your right thigh. Give the leg a little bit of weight. You're not pushing it down into the floor. Left knee comes up. Hold around the front of the left knee with the left hand. Couple of breaths here. Remember, you're thinking of taking left thigh down to the outside of the rib cage, as if your left knee could nestle into your armpit. You might like to use your right hand just to smooth the flesh of the right thigh. And then if you are feeling it would be a good idea, go half happy baby on this side. Let the weight of the left arm just draw that thigh down. Again, if reaching for the foot gets everything else all scrunched up and angry, metaphorically and literally, just go back to holding the knee. And of course, remember that one side of the body can be completely different to the other. So don't get caught up in the thinking of one side should be doing X or Y, because it probably won't. Good, release that. Right foot on the floor with the knee still bent. Left ankle over to the right knee. And take a moment, you know, check in with how this side feels compared to the other side. Do you just need to stay here with the foot on the floor? Or is there more capacity to stretch? If so, hold around the back of the right thigh with your hands. Keep the left ankle flexed and you will feel as you draw that right knee a little closer to you. So the stretch becomes a little more interesting in the left hip. Again, you can use your left elbow to roll that left thigh away from you. See if you can keep that natural curve in your lower spine as you do. Make sure you are not grinding your teeth or clenching your jaw. It can all happen. Let the right foot come to the floor. Keep your legs in this shape. Roll a little to your right hand side so that the left foot can now come down and stand on the floor. Hold your left foot with your right hand. Roll this left knee away from you a little and turn the chest up towards the ceiling. Do something with your left arm that feels good, whether that is reaching out to the side, bending the elbow. And again, allow your left bum cheek to feel heavy. Imagine that it is trying to draw back down to the floor. And in doing so, you might feel a bit of a stretch through the outer left hip. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Don't worry about it either way. Nice, come back up to center. Left foot up to the ceiling. Hold it for a moment or hold the leg somewhere. Again, point and flex that left foot, maybe take it around in a few circles. Wake up the foot and the ankle against gravity. And then straighten the leg and begin to very gently draw that leg down towards you. If it feels good to do so, you can straighten out the right leg as well. But again, if that's a bit much, don't do it. We're just beginning our negotiations with the body. Opening up the back of the left thigh. Good, and then let that go. Bring your knees up into your chest. Bring the insides of your feet together, but take your knees apart. So insides of the feet together, knees apart. Reach the hands up as if you were pushing the ceiling up away from you. So you flex the wrists. Now peel your upper back away from the floor. Bring your knees towards the outsides of your arms. Let the knees squeeze into the arms as you keep your chest lifted up towards the ceiling. Keep everything squeezing for 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring the knees together. Let the head come back down for a moment. Nice. Keeping the knees together. Keep the arm, take the hands either side of your legs. Take an inhale and an exhale. Good. Curl up again. This time, take your left arm over to the outside of your right knee, leg, whatever it is, and curl up so you push away. Now try and curl up so that your right shoulder blade is lifting away from the floor. Push knees into arms, push arm into knees. Good, come back to center, lift up, and then go the other way. Take both arms to the outside of your left leg. Try and lift your left shoulder blade up off the floor. Mine will not move. Push your right arm against your left leg. Push your left leg against your right arm. And then come back to center. And then come back down. Let the feet come to the floor. Pause for a moment. Oh, think what fun. Straighten your left leg out. Take your right foot up towards the ceiling. Try and take the legs in a L shape if you can. Again, curl up, lift the chest. Reach both hands forwards for a moment or towards the end of your mat. Then again, take your left shoulder to the out, let your left elbow, to the outside of your right leg. Come back to center, swap the legs. Take right arm outside of left leg. Try and lift the left shoulder blade. Come back to center, swap legs. Go to the right. Come back to center, swap legs. Go to the left. Come back to center, swap legs. One more time. To the right. Center, swap legs. Left. Center, both legs up. Oh, knees in. Let everything come down. I'm not going to lie, I know that wasn't pretty on my part. I'm sure yours looked delightful. Bring the knees into the chest and hug them in. And then one way or another, a little rock and roll. Come up to sit. Whee! And then go straight onto all fours. Bring yourself onto all fours. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Take a moment here for our favourite, or my favourite anyway, I'm biased. A bit of cat and cow. Let's wake up the spine with an inhale. Sitting bones go up and back. Exhale, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. Really pull the belly button towards the spine. Inhale, you go the other way. And exhale into your cat. Keep working with your own breath. Inhale, arching it and pulling it all forwards. Exhale, rounding and arching up. So again, in our balance poses, we do need flexibility in the spine, particularly our crow pose. We need to be able to make ourselves into quite a small little package to get into the right place to balance on arms. So cat and cow here, just beginning to build on that a little bit. And then come to all fours, and let's take a moment to activate our core a little more, but also get a feeling of grounding the bits that still stay on the floor, despite everything else perhaps waving around in the air. Well, not waving around, but not being on the floor. So to start with, take your right foot back. And then lift the right foot so that it's off the floor. This isn't about getting it up high. It's about just lifting it so that your pelvis is still just about level. And positively push that right foot back in space. Then activate your right hand, the grounding into the earth. Use your fingertips and reach the left arm positively forwards. So feel the energy reaching forwards in the front in the arm and backwards in the legs. Good. Breathe for 3, 2, 1. Nice. Bring everything down. Other side. Slide the left foot back first of all. Then lift it so that it's keep the pelvis stays balanced. It's not about lifting it high. Put awareness into the left hand. Push the left foot positively back. Then reach the right arm positively forwards. Use the fingertips on the grounded hand to keep you in touch with what's going on. The more they can adapt, the safer you will feel in your balance. Good. Then bring everything back down. Let's try a little variation on that. Right foot back again. Take it up. Reach the left arm forwards. Everything's going positively in each direction. Now, if you've got enough room, take the right leg out to the right hand side and take the left arm out to the left. Still positive with your directions of energy. Good, then bring everything back to center. Still reach it out. And then bring it to the floor. Good. One more time on the other side. Slide the left foot back. Take it up just a little bit. Take the right arm forwards. Now, if you've got room, take the straight arm and the straight leg out to the side. I'm going to need to bend my knee in and then take it out. And still I kick the plant. But you get the impression. Good, you get the idea. Trying not to let my left foot skew up. It's really hard. And then bring everything back to center. Ooh, and bring it down. Nice. Take your downward facing dog. First down dog of the practice. Get into it. If you're not quite ready for downward dog, of course you can be in your child's pose. It's always there for you. In your down dog, give it a walk on the spot. Begin to take the hips a little bit from side to side. Let them rotate one way. Let them rotate the other way. And just bring a little bit of movement into the body before we get into our kind of flowy vinyasa-y thing. Now, here's a little fun thing to try. You should know by now that as soon as I say here's a little fun thing, it's not going to be a fun thing at all. Take your feet in a little bit so that you shorten your downward facing dog. I find it helps with what I'm going to ask you to do next. Ground your right hand strongly into the earth and see if you can just lift your left hand off the floor just a little bit. And then put the left hand back down. Good. Look to your feet. See if you can lift the right foot just a little bit up. You're not sending it up and back. You're just picking it up off the mat and lifting it. And put it back down. I bet you have a horrible feeling about what's coming next, don't you? Now, of course, you're going to do both together. So find a good length of your downward facing dog. Like I say, a little bit shorter than normal for me makes this a little bit easier. I mean, it's still not easy, but see if you can lift your left hand a little and your right foot just a little. Ground the bits that need grounding. Positively lift the bits that need lifting. Then bring it back down. Good. Come to your knees a minute and give the wrists a bit of a shake if that's been a bit much. Because we've got to do the other side before we move on. Otherwise, you'll be all wonky and terrible things will happen. I mean, they probably won't, but let's not take the risk. Downward facing dog. So, other side. Remember that both sides can be completely different. Have a go at lifting just your right hand first. A little bit off the mat. Then put it down. Good. Tick. Look at the feet. Can you lift your left foot up? Just a little bit. Tick. Now, put it back down. Here we go again. Lift the right hand. Then see if you can lift the left foot. Ooh. Just a little. Is it easier this side? Harder? Way. Just as unpleasant. Put everything back down on earth. Good. Bring the feet in towards your hands, towards the middle of the mat. Soften your knees. Let yourself just hang here for a moment. Hold the elbows. Pause for a moment or two. Moments up. Hands to your shins. Inhale. Lift halfway up. Activate your back body. Soft knees. Exhale. Fold down. Push through knees. Inhale all the way up. Reach to your ring fingers. Exhale, pull your arms down beside you. Good. Straight into our half sunnies. Inhale, reach forwards and feel broad across the tops of your shoulders. Soften your knees. Exhale, take the hands behind you and interlace the fingers. Push the knuckles back and down as you lift the chest. And then exhale, pour yourself out over the legs and take a forward fold with the arms behind you. Bend your left knee and straighten-ish your right. And then try and turn your left shoulder towards your right knee so you take a little twist. Then swap the legs, bend the right, straighten the left. Roll the chest open as if you're taking your right shoulder towards the right knee and let the left shoulder roll open. Then take a forward fold again with both hands heavy. Release the hands, inhale, reach all the way up, push down through the feet. Exhale, arms down by your sides. Good, again, inhale, reach forwards, get broad between the shoulder blades. Exhale, take your hands behind you again. Interlace the fingers, lift the heart with an inhale. Soft knees, exhale, pour yourself out over your thighs. Take a little twist, bend the right knee, turn towards the left. Back to center. Bend the left knee, Turn towards the right. Back to center. Release your hands with an inhale. Push through the knees, come all the way up. Exhale, pull your arms down by your sides. Good, straight into our sunny A's. If you're not at the front of your mat, move towards it. Inhale, reach up, push down through feet. Exhale, soft knees, fold all the way down, working into the backs of the legs. Inhale, halfway up and lengthen. Good. Hands to the floor, step your feet back. Now come into that half a plank pose that we're so familiar with. And we're going to work on, actually come out of the plank pose for a minute. I'm not going to be too cruel. We're going to work on finding that feeling in the arms of the little push-ups that we started last week. Because you'll remember when we got to crow pose last week, making this L shape with arms is the arm shape that we need in our crow pose, because it's this kind of shape that the knees come to rest on. So you make this shape but on the mat, obviously this way, facing this way. Now, to be in this pose, you don't want the elbows out. So you don't want elbows splayed out, you want elbows hugged in. This pose does require some strength. If you find it challenging, as I do, don't go all the way down into this. Come down a little bit. Again, we're building these jigsaw pieces over time. Much better to do little and build the strength as you need than go all and try and muscle way through it. Remember, that doesn't work well. So come into your half a plank pose. Make sure there's some weight in your hands. Draw the belly button up towards your spine. You need to switch stuff on the inside. Think of taking the chest forwards, not just sinking down. Keep the elbows in and let the elbows hug in as you come down a little bit and then push back up. Good. Come down a little bit and then push back up. You see my little arms shaking already. There's only the second one. Come down a little bit. Push back up. Then come all the way down with control. Come to your Sphinx pose. Elbows under shoulders. Spread the fingers wide. Tops of the feet into the mat. Pull the chest forward. Switch your bum cheeks on. Nice little mild back bend. Exhale. Roll down. Push back to your knees. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. 3 breaths. 1, 2, 3. If you want, try and lift one foot, one hand off, diagonal pair, and put them down. And then choose the other diagonal pair. Is it getting easier the more you practice or not? Ground anything you've lifted. Bend your knees. Look at the space between your hands. Bring your feet into it. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Push through feet. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, pull your arms down. Good. Same thing again. Inhale. Reach forwards and up. Get broad between the shoulder blades. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, halfway up, activate your spine. Exhale, hands down, feet back, come to your half a plank. Good. And then do 3 little push-ups. But obviously push-ups with elbows in. If 3 is too much, just do 1. If you want to try doing it in a full plank, I admire you. Crack on. Let me know how you go. I'm not. Come all the way down with control. Locust pose. Reach the hands back, turn the palms down. Lift the arms, lift the legs, lift the chest. Keep the chin tucked for 3, 2, and 1. Hands down, push back to your knees, downward facing dog again. Find your breath. 3 breaths here. Or child's pose, remember, that's always your option. 3 breaths, and then for the last 2 breaths, if you want to try lifting one diagonal pair, do so where it's wobbly. And then the other diagonal pair. Good. And then bend your knees, bring your feet to your hands. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, pull the arms down. Good, into some lunges. Inhale, reach up. But exhale, sink your bum down towards your chair pose. So let the bum come down, lift the chest up and reach to those ring fingers for 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, reach up, exhale, soft knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up and lengthen. Good, take your right foot back and pause here in a runner's lunge. Now, if you've got blocks handy and you're struggling to get hands on the floor, this is a great place to have your blocks, because you can have your hands on your blocks, you can push down through both feet. And whether you've got blocks or not, I want you to get a feeling of really sending the chest forwards. It's not going to actually go forwards, but energetically project your breastbone forwards. At the same time, actively lift the back of your right thigh up towards the sky. Push back through your right heel. So feel like you're pushing down with hands, going forwards with chest, going back with right heel. Lots of opposing forces at work. Good. Then bring your right knee down and take your hands on the inside of your left foot. So wiggle the left foot out a little bit. Back, come on brain. Right foot presses down into the mat. And again, think of sending the chest forwards and almost like a little bit up to begin with. Again, if you've got your blocks here, hang out here, have a lovely time. Try and allow your left knee to nestle into the back of your left arm a little bit. But at the same time, let the arm just push out into the knee. Again, you're not fighting with yourself, you're just activating. So you might have hands on blocks, you might have hands on the floor, chest stays forward regardless. If you've got the room within your body, you might start to bend the elbows and bring your chest a little further towards the floor. Whatever version you're doing, don't round the back and collapse into it. I want you to keep the spine long and keep coming down. You might even bring one elbow down onto a block. So many variations, but we're just beginning to work into hips, as you can tell. Good. Wiggle the left foot back so that the hands are either side. Step left foot back to right. Bring knees down. Just down once with control. Keep the elbows tucked in. Hands to mid-chest. Lift for your cobra. Pull back with the hands. Exhale, come down. Push back, downward facing dog. Just for one breath, take the right foot up in the air. Bend your right knee. Now roll that right hip open. Feel like the right heel is heavy and it's moving towards your left bum cheek. Good, then square the hips. Step the right foot forwards. Bring the left knee down. Push both feet into the mat. Inhale. Reach up through ring fingers of both hands. Exhale. Hands to the floor. Step your left foot forwards. Inhale. Halfway up. Exhale. Soft knees. Fold down. Inhale. Bend the knees. Come up with bent knees.
Good. Keep the arms up. Now bring your feet together. Inhale, reach a little higher. Exhale, drop down into the squat again. And keep squatting, keep squatting, keep squatting. Heels can lift. Now, I've got a slight logistical problem that my face is up against the wall, but I want you to reach your arms forwards and as gently as possible, let your bum sit on the floor. I cheated because I'm on a very dodgy floor and it's very wobbly and I'm worried that these will fall on my head. Land on the floor, lift your feet up, reach the arms forwards. Good. Keep insides of your feet together, take the knees apart. Now, instead of pushing the ceiling up, think of pushing a wall in front of you away. Bring the arms to the elbows, bring the elbows to the arms, squeeze everything in and try and lift the heart forwards for 3, 2, 1. Good. Cross your ankles, roll over your ankles, or one way or another, find yourself in a downward facing dog. Good. Come forwards towards a plank. Lift your right foot up off the air. Up off the air? Up off the ground. Come forwards to a proper plank, and as you do so, bring your right knee to kiss the back of your right arm. Then take it back, that 3-legged downward facing dog. Bring it down to the floor. Good. Come forwards towards plank. Lift the left foot up. Come all the way to plank. Left knee comes to kiss the back of your left bicep. Push back, 3-legged downward facing dog. Left foot to the floor. Bend the knees, both feet into your hands. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, pull the arms down. Good. Same thing, other side leads. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, come down to your chair pose. Just for a moment, let the bum be low, let the chest lift up. Go as deep into this pose so that you really don't want to do it for very long. Oh, inhale, push up. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, send the left foot back and pause here in your runner's lunge on this side. So again, you may like to have your hands on blocks here, hands at either side of the right foot. So remember, right knee nestling a little bit into right arm. Chest very much going forwards. Left heel very much going back. Hips are heavy, but they're not hanging in midair. You're pushing down through the feet. Back of the left thigh lifting up towards the sky. None of this will change how the shape looks of the pose, but it will really change how it feels energetically in your body. Hands push down, chest push goes forward, left heel goes back. Hands can be on bricks, of course, or on the floor, whatever works best for you. Good. Then let the left knee come down. Wiggle the left foot out so that hands are now inside the left foot for your lizard pose. So again, there's a little bit of nestling between back of left knee and back of left arm. Feet push down, chest is still going forwards. Here's your opportunity to take it a little bit deeper if you want. So hands can be on floor, or you just start bending your elbows so that the chest inevitably reaches a little closer to the floor. But if that makes you round your back and go soggy in the middle, don't do it. Stay lift, that feeling of lifting up in the chest. So you can see here, we are working on getting this knee towards where it needs to be for our crow pose, getting the knee towards the back of the arm. So this should come as no surprise to you when I talk about working through the ingredients. If you're in this pose And for it to be even vaguely bearable, you need to be like up here, and absolutely no negativity meant to any of you if you are up here. This is fine, this is where you're working. But you can see how if this is where you are up here in this pose, trying to do crow pose when your knee needs to be here, it's unlikely to work well for you at the moment. So this is just one of the ingredients you need to start working on. Good. Bring the foot back to center, hands either side of the left foot, and then step your right foot back. Bring your knees down, bring your chest down. Inhale, little cobra. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Nice pause in your down dog for a moment. And breathe. Good, left foot taken up in the air. Bend the left knee, roll that left hip open. Think left hip being heavy towards right bum cheek. Then step the left foot forwards. Bring the right knee down. Inhale, reach up, push down through both feet. Exhale, hands down. Step the right foot forwards. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold down. Push through feet. Inhale, come all the way up. To stand, keep reaching, bring the feet together. Bring your hands into prayer. Take a squat. Exhale, come down, come down, come down, come down. Lift the heels if you need to. Now reach the arms forwards and deposit your bum gently on the floor, unless you're on particularly dodgy floorboards, which sends repercussions through the whole house. Lift the feet for your boat pose. Keep the chest lifted, something which I'm not doing very well. Insides of the feet together, knees apart. Reach the hands forwards. How much can you lift the chest? How much can you squeeze knees against arms and arms against knees? Can you get your knees to where they were when you were doing that lizard pose? Mine? No. Good. Come back to center. Cross your shins. Once again, roll over into your downward, I don't mean roll over your shins into your downward facing dog. Or one way or another, get there. Pause for a moment. Come forwards towards a plank. Lift the right foot off. Come into a full three-legged plank. Bring the right knee to kiss the back of your right elbow. Push back, three-legged downward facing dog. Add a twist this time. Bend the right knee. Roll the right hip open. Back to center. Right foot down. Simply with the left, come forwards, three-legged plank. Left knee, elbow kisses back of left arm. Take it back. Three-legged downward facing dog. Bend the knee. Roll the left hip open. Left foot down. Bend both knees. Look at the space between your hands. Step your feet into it. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, pull your arms down. Good. Take an inhale, reach up. Exhale, just like before, fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen the spine. Exhale, both hands down, both feet back, high plank. Knees down, control your descent, keep the elbows in as you come down. Inhale, little cobra. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Just one breath in your down dog. Step your right foot forwards, turn and ground your left heel, and come up, setting up for your triangle pose. So right foot is forwards, left foot's turned in about 45 degrees, and your heel is on or about the same line as the arch of your back foot. Thumb and first finger into the crease of your right hip. Activate your left bum cheek, fire up your thighs. Take an inhale and exhale, push into that right hip crease as you fold yourself out over the right leg. Once you're down, bring the right hand to somewhere on the right leg, or your block, if it's handy, outside your right foot, or hand to the floor outside the right foot. When you're ready, just take the left arm up, spin the chest open, and a breath or two here. Really activate the legs. Keep that feeling of being long in the spine, twisting the ribs up. Good. Exhale, look down. Bring your left hand onto your left hip. Now take the block with you if you need to. Bend your right knee and think of going forwards out over that right knee. She says wobbling. Then the chest forwards. Plant the hand, lift the back leg, and then again spin the chest open. Way to take the left hand, oh dear, straight up for your half moon pose. Goodness me, I'm wobbly. Good. I told you I was going to be the example of how not to do it tonight, wasn't I? So right hand is on the floor, right foot is on the floor, left leg is lifted, left arm is lifted. Now, left hand back to left hip. Bend your right knee. Keep sending the chest forwards so that you can gently land the left foot back. Bend this right knee and lift up to your warrior two. Good. Pause for a moment. Work the legs for 3, 2, 1. Good. Left hand down. Take a moment in your reverse warrior. Reach up through the right and then come back through normal warrior two. Straighten the right leg, hands on your hips. Turn both feet so that they are parallel to the short edges of your mat. Inhale, lift the heart and lengthen. Exhale, fold, forwards, out and down. Take a moment in a forward fold here. Let the hands rest on the floor. Keep the sitting bones lifting up. Again, a great place to have your blocks so that the hands have got something firm to rest on. Keep thinking sitting bones up so you're folding deep into that hip crease. Good. Now lift up a little so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. Turn the left foot in a touch. Turn the right foot out so it's probably about 45 degrees. Then just as you did with your lizard pose earlier, walk yourself over towards your right foot and bend your right knee. And then again, bring your right shoulder to the inside of your right knee and send the chest forwards. So same principle, but obviously the legs are now in a slightly different scenario. Good, and then come back through center, turn the right foot in, turn the left foot out a little bit. And again, bend the left knee and come to a sort of a lizard pose this way with back of knee nestling into back of shoulder. And again, if you need to be up on your blocks, be up on your blocks. Just try and make sure that your left knee isn't rolling in. Try and keep it rolling out, stacking over that left ankle. Remember, the right leg is still active. Use the bum cheek. Good. Then walk yourself back through center and repeat it again on the right hand side. And you can either just stay in your lizard pose, or you can have a little play working towards a pose called Skandasana, which is just kind of dropping into sort of almost like a half a squat on this side. My body isn't a great fan of it, which is why I can't do it very well. But you'll see you're really kind of doing half a squat in the right hand side, bringing the hands into prayer. And I'm trying to find that lifting up of my chest. And then carefully come out of it, be kind to the knees.
turn the other way, left foot out, right foot in a little bit. Either stay with your lizard pose or see if you can drop down into half a squat this side. And again, you can bring the hands into prayer, back of knee against back of arm, always trying to find the feeling of lifting up, which is very difficult. Use your hands to help straighten that left leg, bring everything back to center. Soft knees, hands on your hips. Inhale, come all the way up. Good. Bend your knees. Let's just do the same thing other side. I was going to make you do nasty things to get there. Let it be noted, I was kind. So turn the other way for your triangle pose on the other side. So left leg's going to be in front. So left foot's going straight forwards, right foot is in 45 degrees. Hands on your left hand, thumb and first finger in the left hip crease. Take an inhale. Exhale, gently push into that hip crease just so that you're helping the pelvis tip a little. Right bum cheek is active, both legs are active. Let the left hand come to rest somewhere on the left leg. Spin the ribs and reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Again, left hand on left block. I'm a big fan of, because it means you've got something really strong to ground down into. And it means you can really lengthen the bottom ribs as well as the top ones. Wherever you're working, breathe, because you know what's coming next, the fun bit. I'm going to have to move my pose back a little bit so that I don't headbutt the wall, as much as I know you'd take great delight in seeing that. So we're going to move into our half moon pose. Right hand on the right hip. Bend the left knee. Keep the weight going forwards. Send the left hand out in front of you. Then send the chest out. Straighten the left leg slowly and let the right leg lift. Then take your right arm up. And just like you did with those lunges, actively lift into it. So send the left foot, right foot back. Reach the right arm up. Oh, wobbly down. Get long in the spine. Be active in the balance. Then bend the left knee. Keep the weight coming forwards. Right hand to right hip. Keep sending the weight forwards so that you can gently step back and find your warrior two. Allow me to shuffle up my mat again. Bend the left knee. Couple of breaths here. Find the grounding in your feet. Feel how nice it is to have 2 feet on the ground. Turn the left palm up, right hand down the leg. Inhale for a moment in your reverse warrior. Good, then back through warrior two. Turn both feet so they're parallel to the edge of the mat, hands on the hips. And again, have a little play with your lizard pose on this side. So right foot turns out a bit, left foot may turn in a little bit, or it may feel fine for you to have your left foot parallel. You're going to bend your right knee and bring the hands down. So you come into this kind of, lizard pose with the legs going off. Or you sink down a little further. So you come into like half a squat and bring the hands into prayer. And then just practice moving carefully and mindfully from side to side. Or you just stay up in your lizard, take a breath, come back through center, sink down to your lizard on this side. Do that a few times. If you're very lucky, you get a satisfying click in the hip. Once you've done each side an even number of times, come back to center, turn both feet towards the front. Inhale, lift up halfway and flatten the back. Soft knees, exhale, hands on the hips. Then inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, pause. One way or another, wiggle your feet together, just when they thought they'd never be reunited. Good. Excuse me while I move my mat, which is taking off across the room. We are going to try and play with our crow pose. So remember, all of this is about the ingredients leading up to it. You've done crow pose on your back.
So if you want to go back and nail that version, totally fine, do that now. We've done crow pose sitting down with the arms out in front of us. If you want to go back and nail that, totally great use of your time, highly recommend it. If you want to have a go at doing crow pose the right way up, here's where we're going to give it a go. So you're going to come with your soles of your feet together, the inner arches of your feet together, and you're going to come down into a squat. So again, remember about the ingredients. If getting into a squat isn't even great for you, that might be something you want to work on before you even come into crow pose. And then knees go wide. So knees are out. Bring the hands onto the floor and let the hands be flat on the floor for a moment. So again, maybe this is where you pause and work for now. Then you're going to bend, take the hands a little forward so that you've got plenty of room, and you need to bend your elbows. So you can see as I kind of sink down, this is where you can allow your back to round a little, because you want to make yourself into a teeny tiny little package. And I want my knees to be as far up towards my shoulders as possible. Hands are flat on the floor, fingers are spread wide, and I'm going to really need to use my fingertips to help me with the balance. Now, remember that L shape that you made when you were doing those push-ups. Keep the elbows hugged in towards each other. You don't want them to splay out to the side, so they stay hugged in. Now, I need to lift my bum up first and send my chest forwards so that I'm taking weight into my hands. Then I might lift one foot up. I might lift the other foot up. And even if it's just for a second, I may balance. But through that, I'm thinking sending the chest, there's an element of that forwardness to it. It's not a pushing up. The bum goes up, but then the chest goes forwards. So I'll walk you through it again. If you're watching this on the later option, of course, you've got the luxury of pausing, having another go, pausing, having another go. If you're live, I'm sorry, you don't have that. So feet together, knees apart, hands flat on the floor. Snuggle in so that you get your knees as high up your arms as possible. Good active hands. Take the bum up. Keep the elbows hugged in. Think of taking the chest forwards. And then maybe you lift. And once you're up, you've got to squeeze your knees against your arms and let the arms squeeze out against your knees. If you've got another one in you, feel free to have another go. Otherwise, we have very much peaked. So bring yourself to lie down on your mat. Get yourself comfortable lying down. Bring your knees up into your chest and hug them in. And have a little rock and roll from side to side. Ooh. Good, so feel what feels good on your back. And then bring both feet flat on the floor. Heels close to your bum. Tuck your tailbone under, let the hands come and rest down by your sides. And with an inhale, lift, first of all, your pubic bone. Then lift the back of your pelvis, middle back, upper back, up into the air for a little baby bridge. Bring the hands underneath you if that feels good, and wiggle the shoulder blades a little closer to each other. Push down through the feet so you can lift the hips up high. And just take a moment to really stretch out that front body, all the way from the thighs up through across the front of the hips and the pelvis, into the rib cage. Then exhale, release your hands and slowly roll the spine down. Do at least 2 more of those. Rolling up with the inhale. You can take the hands underneath you if that feels good. But think about this as all about
stretching and lengthening front body. We're also strengthening back body, but let this be an opening for the front. Release the hands, slowly roll down on the exhale. One more of those if it feels good. So we're just going to take a moment to balance out strengthening with the stretching. Once you've done your third baby back bend, bring the knees into the chest and again, have a little hug, have a little roll around. And take a moment here, again, to tune in to whatever your body needs so that it can settle into its favorite Shavasana shape. So if it feels like it needs a twist to each side, you know you can do that. If it feels like it needs a happy baby, a full happy baby like we did at the beginning, do that. If it needs a bit of a hamstring stretch, you know, tune in. This is about you tuning into your body. So do that now. And if you're ready to go straight into Shavasana, then just get in there and let it all go. Palms turn up towards the ceiling. Feet just fall apart. And once you're settled, eyes fall closed. And we finish just as we started, with some nice, big, deep breaths. In through the nose, sighing out through the mouth. Another opportunity to let go of anything that is not serving you. To put down anything that you're still carrying. To leave whatever you need to leave on the mat. On your next exhale, allow your arms and your legs to grow heavy. On your next exhale, allow your hips and your pelvis to sink a little deeper into the mat. On your next exhale, allow your eyeballs to rest a little heavier in the eye sockets. And release any furrows from your brow. On your next exhale, allow your whole body to sink a little deeper into the earth. But at the same time, feel the earth rising up beneath you, supporting you fully so you can completely let go. Rest here in silence and stillness, just for a minute or two.
Stay exactly as you are. Just take a slightly deeper breath. And once again, let it go. Notice how you feel. Notice what you feel, and if there is good stuff there, allow it to be fully felt. Allow yourself to marinate in it just for a moment. Then, keeping your eyes closed, begin to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. Roll onto your right hand side, then using your hands, push yourself up to a seated position in whichever shape is good for you. Hands can be in a prayer shape in front of your breastbone or just resting in your lap. You can let the head bow and take a moment to remember the intention you set back at the beginning of our time together. Remember how you wanted to feel and breathe life back into that intention with a big inhale, and let it go with the exhale. Allow the corners of your mouth to lift into a smile and keep that on your face for as long as you possibly can. Namaste.